Hello and welcome to The Serrated Edge, an Australasian Humour Studies Network podcast where we speak with early career researchers and graduate students working in humour studies. A companion to the Cutting Edge podcast, the format is simple. Guests have 15 minutes to answer 5 questions about their research. It's short and sharp, so let's get into it. My name is Till Knowles and I'm a PhD student at Monash University, looking at live performance comedy and suicide jokes. And today I'm joined by Suchi Chowdry. Suchi is a PhD candidate at RMIT University in Melbourne, researching stand-up comedy in India. Her study focuses upon how politics and stand-up impact on each other. She's creating data through interviews, ethnographic study and textual analysis. Born and raised in India, she moved to Melbourne 18 years ago and has worked at TAFE and tertiary education institutions. In her other life in India, she's worked in advertising, journalism and public relations. Welcome, Suchi.
Thank you very much, Till.
It's so good to have you here today. So I'm going to start off with a nice and simple question. What are the 3 key words that summarise your research?
Thank you for having me, Till. So 3 keywords. I have 2 phrases and 1 word, if I may. So 1, stand-up comedy, 2, authoritarian populism, and 3, India.
Amazing. It's such a tantalising set of keywords. I can't wait to hear more about your research. Why humour?
So humour, as you know, is an overarching term. I'm researching comedy, which is a subset of humour. And comedy is understood as a formalised occasion where humour is expected to be performed. And in a live stand-up comedy situation, there is an audience that is expecting a formal performance of humour. So that is where the relationship between comedy and humour comes in for me. And more specifically, why am I researching stand-up in India? I'll briefly give a little history of my migration story.
Yes, please.
So I got to come to Melbourne in 2006 following an arranged marriage. My husband had already come here to study and then he got to stay. So even until 2006, whilst I was in India, there was nothing like stand-up comedy over there, like stand-up as we know it today. There was nothing like it over there at that time. So I didn't have any knowledge or idea of what stand-up comedy is. I was introduced to the art form after having come here via Australian national television, when my husband would sit and watch live comedy shows, recordings of live shows, and I would sit alongside and both of us would laugh. He would laugh at more jokes than I would because I was still new to the Australian context. And it was great watching comedy. But then around 2019, news feeds would come up on my social media about persecution of stand-up comedians in India. So I would wonder that this is a nice art form. It is there to make people laugh. Why is it that comedians are getting into trouble? So that raised my curiosity, and I suppose that's where the seed for my project was planted.
Yeah, that's so interesting. It's such a personal way of stumbling upon your research topic as well. It's so integrated into your life and via social media.
Yeah.
So in your bio, you mentioned a couple of things about your methodologies around interviews, ethnographic study and textual analysis. How else would you describe your research methods?
So other than those 3 methods that you've just spoken about, there is also a bit of research about online media analysis, in the sense how the Indian media, mainstream media, represents stand-up comedy, and more particularly how it represents stand-up comedy that has dissenting material. So that is one aspect of it, and then textual analysis of jokes that are publicly available on YouTube videos and so on and so forth. And then I conducted interviews with comedians and comedy producers, all of them located and working in India. And then the ethnographic observation of live shows in the 2 cities. One is Mumbai, the other one is Kolkata, which used to be known as Calcutta before. So these 2 cities are my ethnographic sites. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And what fields are you drawing on in using those methods?
Oh, thank you. Yes. So because my project was going to be a qualitative research project, I drew upon the methods that are used by qualitative researchers commonly, and these are commonly used methods. And I also wanted to have a few methods so that I could have data sets across the four methods that would all complement each other. And if there were contrasting data, I could delve into it and find out why is it so. So yes, and also given I live so far away from my field of research, depending on a few data sets, I thought was safer than just relying on one or two methods.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. Is there anything that you wish you'd known at the start of your PhD?
Oh, absolutely. That's a great question. Yes. Yeah, it's such a journey. You learn so many things as you go along. So, two things that particularly stand out for me. First, one is that comedians are busy people. And in India, those who are satirists who have got into trouble for making jokes about the ruling dispensation, they are in many ways treated as celebrities as well within certain circles. And I realized that not everyone would have time to give to me to be interviewed. And what I've realized is that I shouldn't have held on to hope for so long. I should have moved along and gotten ahead and, reaching out to other comedians. So that was a realization. And the other important thing for me was a bit more critical awareness about my research design, like as in how much data is enough data, and how will I make my research questions and my research data across all the subsets, and the chapterization of my project. How would I make all of them speak to each other so that there is a foundation upon which I can make my claims and arguments that will be strong enough. So a bit more awareness of that at the start would have helped, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. How many interviews did you end up doing, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. So I have 27 interviews, and I've got 4 comedy producers, and the other interviews are of comedians. Yes.
Yeah, cool. I mean, that's a pretty substantial amount of data to then be analyzing and using across the thesis. Yeah.
Yes, Dil, I agree. Sometimes I think it's a bit much too because I've got over 700 pages of interview data to go through.
Yeah, that comes back to the research design
Yeah.
advice then. Make sure you're scoping things correctly at the start. Yeah.
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 I'm really interested to know, so you're looking at the relationship between politics and stand-up comedy in India. Can you talk a little bit about the impact of censorship in that context?
Oh, yes. Thank you for the question. Yes, Till. So, the impact of censorship upon the comedy scene in both cities, Mumbai and Kolkata, is very strong. And the risks are known to the community of comedians across the country. They know what kind of jokes will get them into trouble. Um, they put a lot of thought behind posting any comedic material online because they have no control over who will access their material. So there is that very strong impact upon the, as they say, a chilling effect on the comedy community. But having said that, in my ethnographic research, I've also discovered that there are spaces that can be called, incubators or crucibles where very daring material is performed. But those places are not publicized at all, and the audience comprises of people the comedians know and other comedians. So it's a very safe space, and they make sure it stays safe that way.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting. Do you see ways in which censorship uses comedy and humor as well?
Yes, the party or the group that is censoring one form of comedy, they also perform jokes in public forums, and their kind of comedy is, if I may use the expression, more right wing, as in where they are reinforcing stereotypes, punching down upon minorities, and well, it gets laughs, and I think there is a crop of comedians who are coming up in certain corners of the country who perform that kind of comedy as well. So yes, it works both ways.
Yeah, really interesting. It's a tool that's available to all sides of politics.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Thank you so much for your time, Suchi. If people are interested in reading your research, do you have any publications or places they can go to read it?
Oh, thanks, Till, for giving me a chance to talk about my one publication that I have so far. So, yes, the Open Library of Humanities over there, there's been an article that has been published. It's part of a special collections which is entitled Humor as Human Rights. So, it is one angle, one smaller aspect of my bigger thesis, but I do mention stand-up comedy. But that article deals mostly with the, as I was saying, the right-wing angle towards comedy.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Till.